We have a massive Toronto Blue Jays Juan Soto update as in the midst of all of this crazy reports, rumors, all of these things, and everybody thinking, fans, media alike, that Juan Soto is a foregone conclusion to end up with the New York Mets and New York Yankees. An insider has revealed a report as he has predicted the Blue Jays to land Juan Soto. So to break down that report, discuss what it can mean going forward, as well as Kevin Kiermaier. He had some interesting things to say. They involve the Blue Jays. Stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get to it, quick reminder, hit that subscribe button. If you're a part of the percentage that aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. Everybody, welcome. Welcome to this episode. Obviously, there's a lot to go over today, specifically surrounding Juan Soto. And we've been a part of this before. This similar thing to last year when, hey, you're thinking about the Ohtani situation, Ohtani landing with the Toronto Blue Jays, but a new report has dropped, and it's an insider predicting that he will land with the Toronto Blue Jays, and this time it is Juan Soto, not Shohei Ohtani. So, according to MLB insider Bob Nightingale, he believes that the Yankees have no plan on budging their offer, and this could allow an opening for the Blue Jays to make an offer at $630 million for 14 years. The Blue Jays still have $700 million burning a hole in their wallet, and after the Yankees refuse to budge from their original offer, the Blue Jays swoop in and get their man for $630 million over 14 years. So there's a bunch of different things to go over here. So what this is stemming from is the fact that we know a report, I'll dive into that a little bit later, a report dropped revealing that the Yankees offer at this current juncture for Juan Soto is planning to be about $585 million than what Juan Soto was looking to get, which ultimately means there might be a chance and a shot for the Toronto Blue Jays to swoop in, like Bob Nightingale says here. And again, the Blue Jays are far from the only team, apart from the Yankees, interested, as the Orioles, Mets, and Red Sox will also be making some massive offers for Soto, but there's a chance they could be at the top of the list with the way Soto's agent spoke of them. So as we look into this and as we look into their kind of plan going forward, obviously, we know that Shi Davidi came out recently and said that the Blue Jays have an alternative budget. So a budget set aside specifically for Juan Soto, similar to what they did last year for the $700 for Shohei Ohtani. This means that, hey, let's say the Blue Jays have $25 to $30 million like they've been projected in their payroll for a free agent. If that is the case, they have another, how much, $630 million total. Obviously, you break it down, however much the AAV is. But they have a different amount set aside for the for Juan Soto and the Juan Soto sweepstakes. So if they want to go for the Juan Soto sweepstakes, they have a different budget set aside. And that's why when you're looking at the powerhouse that is Rogers, you could really make an argument for if they offer the most money and the Yankees don't want to budge, then maybe he would consider going to the Toronto Blue Jays, But the bigger question mark here is the New York Mets. Because let's say the Yankees don't want to budge. We know they haven't been super willing to empty their pockets in their entirety, but what they have been willing to do is, of course, get a lot of superstar free agents. But for the New York Mets, they're willing to spend, and reports that came out regarding Steve Cohen, as much as humanly possible to get Juan Soto. So if the budget is the problem, the Jays can outbid the Yankees. They then have to go ahead and pivot and also outbid the New York Mets, which becomes a bit of a problem when you think about it going forward. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here, but there's a lot of different things here. You can see this here. The Blue Jays are looking to add offense this winter, and if they somehow be able to land Juan Soto, their offense will surely benefit, obviously. And the Blue Jays' projected offer has been announced. So again, the Yankees reportedly made Soto an offer of $575 million, which is way lower than what he is looking for, and it is believed that they have no interest in going up on their offer, which means he is likely not returning to New York. So that's the interesting thing here, is that the biggest part of this and the biggest point is that, hey, it's interesting now if the Yankees aren't willing to budge from their 575. All signs are pointing to the Blue Jays being able to outbid their 575. That's not really a problem. What the problem is, whether teams like the New York Mets or, of course, any other team is going to be able to get involved and kind of outbid the Toronto Blue Jays. And that's the biggest question mark. And, of course, there is a side of, does Juan Soto even want to come to the Toronto Blue Jays, which is, of course, another big part of it. But I think at this point, it seems like Juan Soto is wanting to go where the most money is with the side of competitiveness. And I think depending on how the Jays handle this offseason, there is a world where the Jays give him the best offer or one of the best offers. And, of course, they can offer that competitiveness. I think they're going to outbid the Yankees. I don't know if they're going to be able to outbid the Mets. And if they're not able to outbid the Mets, there's probably not a huge world where he ends up a Toronto Blue Jay. But it's very interesting anyways. We also have another report surrounding Juan Soto. A lot of info coming out. The Blue Jays got some seemingly good news on Friday in regards to their pursuit of free agent Juan Soto. Andrew Baggerly of The Athletic said that the San Francisco Giants could be out of the running before it ever really gets going. He reports that the Giants are going to step back their spending from last offseason, so they could only have $30 to $40 million in total to spend. That wouldn't be enough to rein in Soto. Nevertheless, fill out the rest of the roster. Soto is expected to command a deal of $600 to $700 million. he could garner near $50 million per the season if numbers go as high as possible. And again, the Giants still anticipate making significant roster improvements. They just won't have ample wherewithal to do it, and budget cuts, if enacted, would make it particularly impossible to pursue free agent outfielder Juan Soto, the one megastar up for bidding. So unlike the Juan Soto sweepstakes, or the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes, it seems like the Giants are out of the Juan Soto sweepstakes, which means it is a 3-team race between the Blue Jays, the Mets, and the Yankees, seemingly at this point. And again, with this report coming out, this doesn't necessarily mean that the Yankees are going to completely give up on the chance to have a guy like Juan Soto. I think they're still going to go and make an effort to keep him. Whether or not they do that in an effective way is still up in the air and still yet to be seen. And I'm not sure. Again, if you're a Yankees fan, you want them to up that offer. He obviously helped them get to the World Series. They wouldn't have done it without him. And especially at a time where Judge has really underperformed in the playoffs. The Yankees have struggled in the playoffs. The team went from not making the playoffs last year to making the World Series this year. So if you're the Yankees, you got to make a better offer than that. But if you're the Blue Jays, all things are starting to break a little bit. The Giants getting out, the Yankees making a pretty cheap offer, a bit of a cheapskate offer. In the scheme of course, what we're talking about here, $575 million is still a ridiculous offer. So let us know down below what your thoughts are on all of that. And again, the bigger thing here is that, again, 1 year after missing out in the free agency Shohei Ohtani battle, the Jays could use a big win in free agency. If the team were to sign Soto and join Vladdy and Bichette in the middle of the order, it's interesting. So, again, we know how good Juan Soto is, and we also know, can't believe we're going to do this again, best way to approach it, expect nothing and be pleasantly surprised. And this was Bob Nightingale's report from prior to the one. This was different articles. So this is the brand new articles, having him as the favorites, having the Blue Jays as the favorites. But now you have this saying, can't believe we're going to do this again. Best way to approach it, expect nothing. And he basically says that while there's not a team in baseball who wouldn't desire Soto, the finalists will be the Mets, Yankees, and Blue Jays, and the Giants appear to be out. So the Jays appear to be the popular dark horse candidate. And that has ultimately turned into the Toronto Blue Jays being maybe, riding up those odds like they did not too long ago, about a year ago, surrounding Shohei Ohtani. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on all this Juan Soto news. Again, I'm not going to get my hopes too high, but it is nice to see some analysts start to predict Juan Soto to go to the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm going to keep my expectations low and kind of just hope that some things break the Jays' way, but I'm not entirely convinced. But we also have some comments surrounding Kevin Kiermaier, and it was on a podcast, so I don't know the exact quotes, but basically, he went on a podcast. It was the Star podcast, The Left Field. I believe it was with Mike Wilner. And he basically spoke about his time in Toronto and spoke about how great things were there and how he would love to, maybe be part of the organization going forward. But he also threw a little bit of, not shade, but he gave a ton of props to the Dodgers, saying they're world class, the best organization he's been with, and all those things. So I wanted to get your guys' opinion down below. Do you think that Kevin Kiermaier would be a good fit going forward for the Toronto Blue Jays in a coaching role or something like that? I know me and Peter joked about it yesterday, but as things continue to ramp up here, I'm very curious to see what you all think about it, because ultimately it's going to be interesting to see where Kevin Kiermaier fits in the team going forward. Specifically, obviously he's retired, but regarding the coaching staff, because he has a lot to say. He's been involved in a lot of Blue Jays podcasts. He's been involved in a lot of things surrounding the Blue Jays. We know he came out a few days ago and said he wants to be a part of the organization in some way. So if you're watching and you made it this far, leave in the comments what role do you think you would want Kevin Kiermaier in. Would you want him in a defensive coach role, a defensive coordinator, as me and Peter joked, because Don Mattingly was the former offensive coordinator? Where do you think Kevin Kiermaier could fit into this coaching staff? Because obviously it's probably not going to happen this year. He's probably going to take some time off, but I would love to see Kevin Kiermaier get back out there, especially with how involved he was in the Blue Jays community and in the Toronto community, and how much props and things he's given to the city. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. Just a little fun exercise to do. And also let me know what your thoughts are on this. Are you buying any of the Juan Soto rumors, or do you think they're just a pipe dream? Let me know down below. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.